Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Adfin Brew. I hope you all have your cups of tea with you. Me and Cerith had a bit of a chat just before, and it's a disaster. Cerith doesn't have his tea, and he ran out of Adfin tea, so I need to send him some. And I also couldn't find an Adfin mug, so there we
Not
go.
Caliban.
Not starting off very well our end, but hope you are all having a lovely start to your Friday, and you do have your tea. Um, just a bit of context, I'm Veronika, I'm from Adfin, I'm the Founders Associate here. I'm currently looking after all things referrals and helping support our accountants launch things like credit control as a service, which we're talking about today. Kerith, would you like to say a quick intro?
Yeah, so I'm Cerith. I'm from UNT Accountancy. We're reasonably fresh. We trade in over just over 3 years now. But what we did do is a year ago we did actually acquire another practice. So we went from 100 odd clients up to about 600 clients overnight. So it's been fun working through that transition.
Big
And
change.
yeah, and with Adfin, obviously 3 years ago, we've had a lot more pick of the softwares. So we're trying to be that sort of tech first or embedded in tech and then rolling out from there.
Yeah, 100%. Great, thank you. And yeah, so what we're going to talk about today is launching credit control, accounts receivables, whatever you want to call it for your clients and how you can do that. So a bit of context, obviously late payments are a big issue in the UK. About, I think it's 65% of invoices in the UK are paid late. At Adfin, it's only about 9% of invoices are paid late, and that's because we have built Adfin to give you the tools to get paid faster. So we built Adfin around accountants. So we've got lots of accountants using Adfin. They've started to refer it to their clients to help them get paid faster, which is great. But we were just thinking, how can we go beyond referrals? So we kind of identified this opportunity where accountants can actually use Adfin on behalf of their clients to manage everything for them, take that headache off their hands. The client doesn't even need to really go into Adfin and make some money off it. So launch that as a new service line. So ideally, it's a win-win. And we kind of, to help you guys launch this, we wrote a playbook, which some of you may or may not have seen, but we can send you all a link after. But we got together 6 of our accountant clients, including Cerith here and Nikki last week that we spoke to kind of help us like sense check it all, like does this all work in practice? And obviously I rewrote and then rewrote the playbook again to kind of make it more applicable to like how you run your practice. And yeah, Cerith was interesting because amongst the group, he was basically the only one who was already actively signing up his clients himself up to Adfin, which is kind of what we called tier one. So we kind of thought about this launching credit control as like a tiered system or a ladder system, as Kerith like to put it, where kind of step one is you just sign them up so they're like ready to use Adfin. You can then just leave it there. They can then start using Adfin themselves. Or you can do step two, where you do a bit of like management. So this might be for the clients who don't have too much pain in getting paid, but need someone to oversee it. And then step three, which we kind of call like full credit control, which is still defined by you. But that is kind of where you are looking after things in full, whether that's all the way to the end up to like legal escalation, or it could just be where you're looking after things in full, but just within Adfin. So, Kerith, I think you said you're already doing one, you're thinking about
Yeah.
two, you've created a 2.5, and you're planning to reach three. So, like, what's the situation at the moment?
Yeah, so one is the sort of easy one for me. So if you've got clients who be predominantly a zero firm, so it's nice and easy. If they've got no way of collecting payments, my theory with payments is make it as easy as possible to be paid. So then if clients or customers are not paying you, it's a choice. It's just you're not creating any barriers in that sense. So any clients that don't even struggle to collect money, but in general, if we can make them to get paid quicker, we will do. So Adfin really helps us. So that step one is just getting them signed up onto Adfin. Nice and easy as an accountant. We've got a little button that says add client. So we add the client, create about 80% of the way through, and then the client then just verifies their own identity. And they're set up ready to go. You connect down to Xero, you raise an invoice in Xero, and then Adfin will be that automatic chaser for you. So you'll get the Adfin emails, they'll chase, they can pay by backs, card, or direct debit. And for you as an accountant and as the client and customer, then you get that dashboard. It really gives you a nice little oversight of what's outstanding, and then you can monitor that from the client. So that's my step one. That's my easy intro into credit control. Is you install software and leave it do its thing.
But yes, Kerry. So at that point, it sounds like do you just sign up all clients to it, or do you still do a bit of qualifying about who it's a good fit for?
It's a bit of management. So you've got the clients that are on zero. There's sort of an easy intro into it. So even if they want to pay by backs, it makes that a lot easier. Then if they're willing to accept card payments, Adfin is probably the most competitive on the market on their fees. So actually taking card payments isn't that much of a pain, but then you can get paid quicker. Also, if the client wants to take card payments, you can pass those fees on to the customer, which is quite nice. You still get 100% of your invoice. So, yeah. Good.
Pretty much everyone is eligible for the step one for the sign up.
Yeah. And then if you've got clients who are accepting direct debits, again, you can have that all in one system. So I've got health and safety consultant, nice and easy. They send out an initial invoice, which they want paid straight away, and then the customer then goes on direct debit. Traditionally, that was two different softwares. So you'd have to have one to take your card payment and then one set of direct debits. Now with Adfin, that's all in one place and all managed in one place. So it just makes life easier for the customer. And if we're managing it, it's just easier for us to see as well.
Yeah, for sure. We've built Adfin in a way that it's useful for any business that raises invoices. It doesn't matter if you need a direct debit solution for recurring payments or just like payment links for those one-off invoices. We've kind of built it to be suitable for everyone. Cerith, I think what would be interesting to touch on is I remember when you came into the office a month ago to help me iterate on this playbook, is you actually said, so you're signing clients up, but you're not charging anything for it because you're like, it's so easy. It takes me 5 minutes. Why would I charge for it? Has your perspective shifted on that, or are you kind of looping it into any other pricing, or how are you thinking about that tier one and how you can kind of make some money off it?
Yeah, so what we've done now is we've historically always charged a onboarding fee anyway. So onboarding fee would be if they're coming from another accountant. No, accountants are nice. They will tend to give you the stuff. We do charge a fee. We charge £50 to chase the other accountant for the information, and then £50 to run our money laundering checks. But since we had our meeting, there is now a software analysis and implementation fee. So if they're coming to us and they're not on zero or they're not on Adfin, then we will charge an upfront fee for the setup costs. It's more of as you said, as you alluded to, I can probably set up a client on Adfin. It takes about 5 minutes, and then for them to do their ID. So if I'm with the client, within 10 minutes, we can get it fully set up and running. My mistake there was doing it in front of the client. So then they knew it only took 5 minutes. But if you are setting up on their behalf, I would charge that. We're now charging a setup fee for actually getting it up and running, because the benefit you get from it running in the background, as you said, the late payments drop from 60% down to 9%.
Exactly. And do you find that it's quite easy to explain Adfin and encourage your clients why it's a good idea to sign up and why it's a good idea to pay the setup fee, or do you have any barriers there?
Haven't had any so far. So they're all tapping up. Like I said, it's sort of a token gesture. It's if you're signing the client up and they're paying you £300-400 a month, then charging them £50 a one-off fee to get them set up and to make their lives easier. It's a no-brainer in their eyes, really. And once they're set up, the client themselves don't really need to go into Adfin. So if they're currently raising their invoices in zero, they carry on raising their invoices in zero. There's no change to them. It's just they happen to get paid quicker than what they would do normally.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So do you often lead of just you can get paid faster and you find that's the most effective approach?
Yeah, it's the easier pay in. So as I referred to the start, it was take away the barriers of being paid. So if you're a tradesperson and you've just finished a job, you've gone to your phone, you've raised your zero invoice, it's then pinged on the client's phone, which is standing next to you, and then he can pay with Google or Apple Pay. It's a choice at that point. So and the sooner you invoice, the sooner you can get those chases, and the easier you make it, the more likely you are to get paid.
Yeah, I think it's super easy for you, Kerith, because you're like an Adfin like super user. So I feel like you can kind of see into like each individual client's like use. So like when you can see the WhatsApp links being useful, it's quite easy just to like lead with that. But okay, cool. I think let's move on to rung 2/2.5 that you've created. So do you just want to talk us through like what this second step looks like to you, and whether you've like started to do that at all?
Yes, we've got this is for more of those tricky customers that tend to put the automated messaging into that low priority. So it comes from, so initially the email comes from Adfin. You've got an invoice to pay. Please press this button to pay. So what Adfin have done now is you can actually customize and humanize your emails. So we have had in my own practice that we use Adfin. We've been sending out reminders for the direct debits can be collected, but because that message looks like it's coming from a human being, we've had people apologising that they haven't paid their bill yet.
That's quite funny.
So, and you'd never get that from an automated message,
Yeah.
but the message is written that is coming from our accounts team, which don't really exist, but it's coming up from an accounts email address with the team on it, so it looks like there's a human chasing for those funds. And us as humans, we tend to respond better to humans. As I said, I had an apology, even though the direct debit was going to be taken in the next couple of days. It was, oh yeah, I'll sort this out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
You don't get that from automated messaging.
Yeah, you've raised a good point actually, because there's a few things you can do here. So we've actually got Adfin customers who love the Adfin chasing because they actually find that because their clients are receiving an email from a third party, they're a bit like, oh no, I better pay up kind of thing. So they actually see it being more effective using just the Adfin branded chasing. Other clients like yourself really like autopilot, which is what we call when you connect your own email domain. And how it works is that you also write your own email template. So, which is what you would have done, Kara. So you write it in your tone of voice. You can choose which email it's coming from, whether it's credit control at your practice name or whether it's from yourself, Kerith. But I think when you're offering it to your clients, do you think that should be part of the conversation? Like where do you want the chasing to come from? Whether it's from you as the accountant, from their business, from us at Adfin, and do you think it's going to like differ a lot between clients or not?
Yeah, I'm an advocate for the detachment of the business owner. If you're a single person business owner, you've got that client relationship. So again, as you said, it's detached with Adfin sending it, but that may not do the trick because people just low prioritize the computer chasing.
Yeah.
But if you've got a person in your accounts department, which doesn't really exist, writing in your tone of voice to customers, I think that's when you can see the benefit. So it's for those. Don't get me wrong. Majority of my customers, setting up the basic Adfin chasing works, but then it's for, well, if you get chased by a human, chances are you can be paid quicker. And for the ones who are not really respondent to the Adfin chasing, or you got a message saying, who's this Adfin person chasing me every day because I haven't paid? If it comes from a human, you're going to get paid. You're going to get paid quicker.
Yeah, it is true. Okay, so are you planning to kind of loop this into the conversation when for that rung 2 or tier 2, whatever you want to call it? Amongst this, is there like other things you need to gather to make sure you are offering a service tailored well to the client?
Yeah, it's those relationships that the clients have already built with the customers that you don't want to step on any toes in that sense. So the tone of the emails, I've had before. I've done talks about it. How many times have business owners sat there on a cold Tuesday morning, sipping their third coffee, rewriting the same email to not to sound like they're chasing. They've done the work, they've done the service, they deserve to be paid.
Yeah.
But how many people are sitting there thinking, "Oh, I can't send that email," or they've rewritten it 3 or 4 times? So using what their fourth or fifth draft, what they would send the client. Again, we can tailor that into Adfin, and Adfin sends out in that tone of voice.
Mhm.
But then that happens automatically. You're not sitting there staring at your screen, rewriting the email 3 or 4 times because it sounds a bit too harsh.
Yeah.
It's something that just happens in the background, and it is coming out how you would want it to come out.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. It'll be interesting to hear. So you've already signed a bunch of clients onto Adfin. One, how would you identify the ones that you think are good for this next step? And then how would you like introduce that conversation to them? Is it yourself doing it? Is it someone else from your team? How are you telling them that this is a solution that they need?
Uh, for me, we set up an admin. Majority will be happy that they're just being paid anyway. So, but it's in that conversation of, okay, these are coming out as automated reminders. Do you want to be more personal with your clients? Because this is something that we can offer. So, and within that sort of humanize and customize, we can get, as accountants, we tend to be a lot standoffish when it comes to credit control anyway, but we can get more involved in it. So we can track whether people are paid. We can track whether people are bad payers or good payers. So we can get a bit more involved in it. So for us as accountants then, you've got that, I said, for the first stage, you could have that setup fee. But then once you go into this, it's more of a continuous service we can offer people. It's still hands off. I said, we're not on that sort of full credit control service where we are phoning, we are taking phone calls, we go into legal escalation. It's a full person doing the job. But this is a sort of happy medium in between where we're involved and then we can send the message out through Adfin. So it's coming from where the client wants it to come from.
Yeah. So when we wrote the playbook, we kind of initially suggested that if this is something you want to offer, you white label the service. You don't, for the first bit, you can kind of talk about Adfin, let's set you up on Adfin, let's get you paid faster. But for the second bit, which is when you start talking more about the credit control, we kind of suggested it might be a good idea to white label the service. So you don't say, we're going to use Adfin to send this, or we're going to use Adfin to do X. It's more like, I'm going to do this for you, and the value is X. So you've kind of spoken about it in that way. So is that the kind of language you would use? Like, I'm solving this problem by sending personalized emails, or are you going to go into the tech side a bit more with your clients?
Depends on the client and depends on their level of understanding. As you've probably found, businesses have a very different level of understanding. So if they know and want to know about the tech, great. Okay, we can go into it. But they don't need to. So it links back to the point of the client can just raise their invoices in Xero, and they don't actually need to log into Adfin. That's something that we could then manage on their behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't need to know. Well, no one really needs to know how you do things. They just want the end goal.
Yeah.
They've got a problem with getting paid. They want to get paid quicker. No one really cares about the middle. So majority of clients won't even ask how are you doing it. It's just, can you get me paid quicker? Yes.
And how will you prove that you're doing that to them?
Oh, you've built some nice little dashboards that that can actually show it.
Nice little dashboards. So
Yeah.
would your plan be just to show them those dashboards, or would you invite them as a user into Adfin so they can basically see everything going on in there? Or like, how would you approach that?
No, for the clients that you will be doing that sort of more touch point credit control service. For us, they're the ones that are going to be on more of a sort of monthly or quarterly retainer anyway. And you'll feel it. If your money's coming in a lot quicker, you're not stressing, are you going to make payroll at the end of the month because the bill's been paid? You're going to have more moments of, they've paid us quickly this time. You're going to feel it. Yes, we'll have the numbers, we'll have the dashboards and the KPIs to back it up. But I think as a client, you're gonna feel there's working or feel there's not working.
I think every business owner is quite close to their cash flow, so they will know if you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Which hopefully with Adfin will be easy to do. Okay. Would you like to enlighten us about what this 2.5 rung that you've created is? Have we already covered it, or is it something new that we haven't covered?
Yeah, it's full credit control, but going to full credit control, there's a lot of internal processes you're gonna have to map out and work out before doing it. So us as small practice. We're only, what are we, 10 sort of working staff. But with that, if you're going to go to full credit control, okay, who's going to take that responsibility? You don't, from a value perspective, you don't want your qualified accountants phoning round people chasing money. And again, delegating that to a junior member of staff can be reasonably dangerous because they need the understanding and they need to obviously have the client care.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're ready for that. I don't think we will be ready for that for a while, because if you're taking on 1 or 2 clients, you can't have that staff member that's in a couple of days a week to actually run it. Only when you, it's a big step. So what we've done now is the personalized follow-ups, and then we can do sort of a light touch then with the client through emails, so the Adfin direct emails, and then we can email the clients from our own emails then, being that sort of extra chase. But actually going into a full credit control service, there's a lot of stuff in the background you're going to have to do to get to there.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think that's why also in the playbook we had a section on like naming things, because we were basically saying essentially you can make the service whatever you like, whatever fits your practice, your team, your clients. So if you do have someone in your team who's a credit control expert and is happy to do the escalation side of things, great. And if you don't, that's also fine. You kind of make the service what you want. But we did write a note of you can call it anything and you can make it anything. It just needs to be clear to the client what you will and won't do. So we drew the line of like, this is everything you can do in Adfin, and this is what Adfin can support you with, which is obviously all the automatic chasing via us, via your email. We've now got some cool features coming out where you could auto apply late fees for some clients to help them get paid faster. You could auto apply partial payments, installments, things like that. So those are the kind of things you could do within Adfin. And then the things you can't do within Adfin, you have to decide yourself. So Cerith, like you were saying, like the escalation side of things, you kind of need to decide if you want to offer that. And either way, it's fine. You just need to make it super clear to your client, this is what I'm looking after for you, and this is where I stop. So yeah, when we launched it, we were like, this is everything you can do in Adfin, and then the rest you can just decide on. And we do have people who have like dedicated credit control people in their team who are taking it that one step further. But yeah, if you're not ready to, I guess just make it clear to the client that that's not something you're going to be doing for them.
Yeah, so from the acquisition we did last year, it's a very much compliance deadline based practice. So obviously we're in that transition now of moving into more digital, having real time data. So that'll be a stretch to put in a credit control function there. But as accountants, we build on relationships as well. So this has actually taken me to speak with local law firms that do this debt collection and escalation. So we're actually building partnerships out of how we can work better together then. So it's filling the gaps with other people. And then with that then it's opened up more conversations of how we can work more collaboratively together. So yeah, having this initial conversation with you guys has actually opened up more opportunities that we can work together with sort of other industries to offer more to our clients. I said we're that one-stop shop at the moment.
Yeah, it's great. And then I guess it positions you even better as like advisors to your clients, because it's like you've already sorted out that last part. So even though you've decided that's not something your practice can offer, you're like, but don't worry about it. We've got a legal partner that can help you with it. So you basically are, in the end, handling the whole process anyway. It's just that last step is just done by a partner.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's a good way to look at it. In terms of like the tiering and all of that, do you think we've pretty much covered everything, or like the baby steps to take to full credit control?
Yeah. Yeah, I think having the software running in the background it's an easy intro. There's
Yeah.
no there's actually nothing much the client needs to do apart from do their identity. And as an accountant, we can set it up in the background and it can start running as long as you've got your client that's on in accounts package that we can pull the invoices from.
Yeah.
Or actually, if they're not using the accounts package, Admin can do invoicing, which is really handy. So if they need to send invoices out and get paid quicker, you can actually do that directly through Adfin. So if a client sends you their Word document or Excel sheet that they send out to clients, you can turn that into a proper invoice through Adfin, and then that'll then give you the sort of enhanced collection abilities of that card payments and direct debits or whatever you need to do.
For sure. And like this is something we're trying to like really educate people on. We can even do handwritten. You can drop in handwritten JPEGs into Adfin and we can turn it into an invoice and then help your clients get paid. So that's great. Kev, do you have any advice for any accountants who are on this webinar who just want to get started and just not sure where to begin?
Book a call with yourselves. I think actually setting up Adfin, you have got so with us now, it was called, was it God mode?
Yeah.
So I've got a drop down that I can see all my clients that I've added. So get that set up. Get your first client on there. If they're taking card fees, if you're using Stripe, just link it all together. Just put in Adfin, try it out to that one client, and see how it feels. But take that first step. Either book the call, or if you're okay with tech, sign up for your own Adfin account, test it out. In the acquired practice, there was issues with the direct debit provider, but that's fine. That's still sitting there. But now we've got all of our manual collection invoices going out via Adfin. So it's not an all or nothing. If you need it just for card collection or back payments, that's possible.
Yeah. I think when we were planning this webinar, you did speak about baby steps. And I guess one that I didn't even think about, baby step number one, is get onto Adfin yourself, because that is how you become good at this. So get your own practice onto Adfin. I mean, there's no like minimums or platform fees or anything like that. So just see how it works for you. And then when you're kind of comfortable using the platform and stuff, this is when it's like a good idea to get your first client on and start doing that service for them.
Yeah, send out your first invoice there and see how quick it. Or actually, take your bad paying clients and put them through Adfin, and they can get that automatic chasing rather than you worrying and only relying upon the account software to send their 3 reminders, and that's it.
Exactly. I think that's actually a really good point as well to point out to clients that with Adfin, we only get paid if you get paid. So we only collect per successful payment. And like I said, there's no minimums or platform fee or anything. So if you do have clients who have an issue with getting paid and have overdue invoices, if they put those into Adfin, all the chasing kicks in, however you've set it up as their accountant as part of your service. And they won't pay any fees on any of the invoices that don't get paid, only on the ones that do. At which point we're probably much, 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 much cheaper than paying like a debt collection agency or some alternatives out there. So that's kind of another thing as well.
On that note, I did have one client with historical invoices that hadn't been paid since, I think it's 2024. So I said, do you want to clear these up before we do Adfin, or should we give it a go? We put Adfin on, we put all the invoices through, and actually we collected about £2,500 that was due from 2024 because they now had automatic chasing every 3 days, and they actually gave up and paid in the end.
Exactly, and I think at that point it's definitely much better to pay our 1% fee than, like I said, the up to 30% you'd pay a debt collection. Anyway, I think we'll wrap up here. Does anybody have some last minute questions? If you do, just pop them into the chat. But we can send you guys an email with the playbook if you're interested in reading it, / just book a call with us if you want to launch this for your practice and just like need a bit of help setting up. But yeah, Cerith, anything that you think we've missed, we need to quickly say before we close?
No, my thing is always give it a go. Click the big red button.
Pretty good advice, thank you. So thank you guys, and we'll be back again next week with another one of the accountants that help us build the playbook and his perspective on things, because he's got a much different practice to Cerith. So we'll be talking through with Paul Barnes next week, if you guys can make it. But thank you all for coming, and see you then. And thanks, Cerith.
No problem.
Bye.